Henrik South. That's our base. It's real weather. The cockpit is a professional cockpit, so everything is working just like in the real aircraft. All the systems as they work, and the software behind is developed by Lockheed Martin and Boeing. So well, you can be sure that it's 99% of the reality that we have here. Voilà, so I don't know where you would like to start. Want to
just
know quick systems of the aircraft?
Yeah, more or less, because I already I was studying some documentation about that, but not really. I know that's about the engines, left,
yes.
right side, the speed of the engine,
yeah, N1,
temperature, I think. Of,
exhausted gas temperature, fuel flow.
Yeah.
Okay, N2, fuel flow again, because you can read here and there. We have tokens to select this. Sometimes it takes some strange things, but it should be able to show in shortly. But it's the same. Oil pressure and so on. But what we monitor in flight is N1, because all the values we are given for N1.
Okay, that's a fan, yeah.
The
big fan, and
that's a low pressure
compressor,
and that's what we monitor. Let's start. First, we will check N2 because you want to make a startup of the engine.
Yeah.
So I can switch them off. First, we need some ground power, otherwise service.
And the start procedure will be like from zero. You will start first APU component.
Yes, yes. I want power, so voilà. Switch this off and show it. So, voilà. Resetting. So at the moment we just
yeah, the small jet engine, yeah.
So normally, first you have the power coming from the ground, and then when you are ready to push back, you will first start the APU. You can see, okay, low pressure. So we don't need to.
So by the way, if you can't use the APU close to the terminal, you will start the external pressure power
without APU
compressor. No,
for the bleed air.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get some bleed air from the airport, sometimes not. It all depends of the equipment. But no, I just started the APU, so it started. And now we can connect the electrical sources, the bus, on, because we have two different circuits.
And just for security,
yes, security, and also because it's separated not as a backup, but because some units are depending on the left circuit and other on the right circuit. It's too complicated to explain today, but we need both. And normally you have the left engine on the left circuit and the right engine on the right circuit, but the APU is able to be connected on both.
Okay.
And that's what I didn't know. So now we don't use the ground power anymore, we have the APU. And as we have no light, it means that it is operating. When you see a blue light, it means available or information. Yeah. But at the moment, voilà, it's the only power source that we have. And that's the first thing we should do for the pushback. Then, when we want to start an engine, we come to this panel because this is showing the pressure and climatization kits of the aircraft. And you see you have three sources, the two engines and the APU. And the APU bleed is connected on the left side of the aircraft.
Correct. And then if the left is starting, we have a power for the right side, yeah?
But usually you start the right one first. That's the procedure of Boeing. So now I connected the APU bleed, so you can read dual bleed because we have two sources. And so it's a warning because normally if the engine starts, you cannot keep the APU on the sea. That's normal, otherwise it's problem, but I have to switch off the packs because it takes too much power, too much bleed, I mean. Okay, and I need a full bleed. The packs pressurization and climatization kit for the cabin.
Okay, so that we don't need to
Voilà, we don't need, voilà, it's a bit cold or hot in the aircraft, but we need the full bleed to start the engine. And also we open the valve here because we have a valve between the two sides, and normally it's closed, so each one...
So the AP is connected to the left side, but in fact we start right engine first.
Yes, because now it's connected to the right because I opened the valve here, and so the bleed air can come in the second engine also. And normally you start this one first, and to start it we have to use...
So we don't have any value over here because it's not starting, yes?
Nothing is running. So first we will start the right engine. This is the starter. I set it on ground, and now the air bleed is coming to the right engine. You can read that the start valve is open. Okay, we still have low pressure, and it's pushing the bleed in the high pressure unit, increasing the rotation speed.
You mean the high pressure compressor already?
Compressor.
Okay,
yes.
It's directly. And we have to wait for some value?
Yes, about 25, so now it's enough. Then we can inject the fuel. This is the fuel.
So now we have pressure inside the combustion chamber.
Voilà.
And then we try to provide the fuel or ignition first? Ignition
and fuel together.
Together, in the same moment?
I think, yes, they come at the same moment because the meter is already on, so it should start at the same moment.
Because our discussion was we have ignition already and ignition is waiting for mixture. But I said it's different way,
It's a long time.
My powinniśmy, chociaż też nie do końca. Oni są operatorami, my jesteśmy mechanikami, my składamy, a oni z tego korzystają, a tak naprawdę
because
te pytania podobne mamy.
Yeah, and we have N1 now. And we also have the exhausted gas temperature showing more than 450 degrees. It's the normal temperature. The fuel flow is about
okay, so LTTs try to turn the fan already?
Yeah, because they are linked. Also, when you have enough, they are starting and it starts rotating. So now we know that the right engine is started, and we can start now the left engine. That's the same. The starter should be... Normally it goes automatically to off.
Okay.
But here it doesn't work, so I have to do it manually. But in the real life, when you reach 55% here, the starter automatically
switching out, yeah?
Right. So I do the same on the left engine now, ground. So you will see that N2 is increasing.
And now we have pressure from the right engine.
And the bleed is still on. So, but most of the APU, because as we are idle, that's not a lot of bleed. So, voilà, 25% you can, if you want, you pull to unlock with this one, and fully up. And now you have the fuel. And normally the procedure is to keep your hand on it, because you have to wait for the temperature to stabilize. It cannot reach this red indicator, which is 800 degrees. In this case, you have to cut off the fuel because you have a problem. So, voilà, the procedure is keep it until this mark will disappear. Okay, we are still.
And that procedure is for pilot, captain, or second pilot?
This is for the captain.
Captain, yeah.
The fuel. Yes. Normally it should stabilize because I didn't program any failure, so it will disappear now in a few seconds.
And the red light indicates the brakes on the here, close to the
parking brake. Yes. Voilà. So
now we have two engines already ready. The same percentage.
Normally, we still have to wait a few seconds. Not yet completely okay, but it will come.
Someone told me you can't start if it's different because the aircraft can go right on the left side. If you have different power on the left and right side.
That's why before you take off, you set 40% of power, and then you check that everything is stable and the same on both sides. That's for a bit later, because normally idle you shouldn't see any difference, but who knows?
Okay.
You're right. And so now we have power on both engines, so we will switch this engine number 1 on bus, engine number 2 on bus. So the light is coming here to say, MD APU, I'm available if you want, but I'm not in use.
Okay, it's ready to use,
The
but it's
same
already...
here, because we have dual bleed still. We have the bleed from both engines, but we don't need APU any longer. So I switch it off, and the light is off. Now it's okay. I can set the packs on, the valve.
So again, climatization for passengers
and so on. Sometimes, when you need extra power for takeoff, for example, the runway is really short, you are really high, it's really hot, you will switch this off because it's taking some bleed air from the engines. What you want is power.
Yeah, because the pressure is coming from the engine, not from outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you.
Voilà. So you take everything for you. But no, in Tenerife, you only need to switch it off. Okay. Voilà. So we have two good engines.
How it looks like in Tenerife? The runway, how it looks like in Tenerife?
2,800.
I mean, short, long, from your experience?
So long.
Yeah. And the shortest one?
73.
Yeah.
Because it all depends the aircraft. You have some.
Which aircraft? Which
normally
airport?
For the Boeing, you need at least 800 meters to stop.
Okay.
And with the security, you double this distance. So minimum is 1,600 meters or 800 meters. But not only the length of the runway is important, but also the altitude.
Yeah.
Because
the oxygen in the air and so on.
You have less air and so on, and maybe also the weather, because if it's a sleepy runway, you have to calculate the distance you need. Maybe it's not 800 meters, but 1,000 meters. So you have to calculate for the margins. We have specific software to calculate this for us. Because,
so that means you can't go everywhere with Boeing, yeah? That model 737. First you need to know where you need to go.
Okay, because it was still on the ground. Okay.
So that was a yellow warning?
Yeah, it was a warning because normally, as I told you,
it should be automatically off,
but it wasn't, so it kept starting the engine. And normally we set it now on continuous for takeoff, so we have continuous ignition.
Yeah, I already read all of that because in case of problem we like to have fire all the time inside the combustion.
And if the weather is really bad, you can also set both igniters. Because you have a left and a right one on each engine.
Yeah.
And normally for the first flight of the day, you will use the starter
just one.
Right. Yes. And for left for the second flight. But if the weather conditions, for example, are really bad, you use both.
Okay, so that's the reason you like to have some spare igniter in case of?
In case of.
Okay.
You don't need two.
You don't need two, in fact, yeah.
So don't use two, because voilà. That's the procedure. Okay, so now we have two good engines, and I didn't manage the whole panel because it's taking a long time. But the fuel was okay. We have 4 pumps activated in the wings because we have no fuel in the center tank, so it's not activated.
How we know where is how much
this is
fuel?
2 tons 63 left wing, 2 tons 71. Okay, not balanced. But only 360 kilo in the center tanks, and we need to keep at least 350, I think, to 340. Otherwise, we will have problem with the electrical pumps because hydraulic pumps are cooled by the fuel. But if you have no fuel, it's eating, overheating. And so it's a problem that you can get if you have not enough fuel in the center tank.
Okay. Yeah, the same oil is cooling by the fuel. It's exchanger on the engine.
Voilà. So but that's okay for now. What we do, so we can switch the APU off. Just the switch is not working all the time. We have a bad contact here. It should go off. Okay, it's off. So now we don't need the APU any longer. So it's disconnected, shut down, and the aircraft is ready. And the ground power is disconnected. Normally we have no lights on this panel if everything is okay. If you have a light,
no blue light.
No,
or orange
light. The problem is orange light, and the information is a blue light.
Okay.
The door is open and so on. You can have some blue if it's relevant,
Ah,
but
okay.
never
Never
number one, because then you have a problem somewhere. For example, if I switch off this pump,
Which orange you can ignore?
no,
No,
no.
nothing.
And that's why normally you have to press here, because this will scan all the systems, and you will keep a light here if something is wrong somewhere. So before we take off, we have to check that everything is okay with just this button. And then we have two colors here, orange and red, because it can be just a warning, but take care and check what it needs to do. But, the red is maybe fire or something, really
Danger.
yeah. Voilà. So now the aircraft is nearly ready for flight. Then we have to fill the computers.
Yeah, kind of documentation. Yeah, you need to provide some info.
Well, yeah. You want to know a bit?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I already read it about that. I know how it works, more or less. You have to provide some information, and that information is going where? If you already filled all the things, that's for.
Is it sent somewhere, or is it storage in
it's
the
inside.
black box, or?
Yes, you know the black box is recording everything.
Yeah.
Yes. But you have a special system which is ACARS, maybe you know that ACARS. Then you can receive information. So you can fetch information from outside, but you never send information with this channel. You send information with the transponder, for example, the radio which is here, sending the position, the speed, altitude, and so on. But this is just receiving. If you need to get, for example, the weather, I can make a request weather.
I thought there's a connection between airport and aircraft, but in fact not. Yeah?
It's a connection, but it's not an automated connection. You have to ask for information manually. They cannot push something in the system, but you can ask to get. Okay? That's a security also.
Okay.
And so, for example, the route, we can get it, because if you don't want to fill all the waypoints of your flight, there's a reserve, so you will do what you want. Okay?
And what about the passengers? Because you never know how heavy they are. Yeah?
Yeah, you have the mean. So if you...
Average.
Yeah, an average.
So you have 100 passengers on the aircraft, so you will calculate...
Well, I think that the system is calculating 80 kilos for men and 75 for women or something.
okay. Just average.
Yes,
Okay.
not that important. What is important is to know where do you put them, and to know the weight of the cargo or the luggage and so on. But for the passengers, this average is working well. In small aircraft, it's not the same. If you have an aircraft with 4 passengers, it's very important to know the weight of everybody and to calculate the total weight, because you also have a limit for takeoff. There is a maximum takeoff weight. The maximum takeoff weight is not the same as the maximum landing weight. It's two different things, because you can take off very heavy, but when you land, you cannot be that heavy. So if you have to land quickly because you have a problem,
need to release the fuel.
Burn the fuel. With such an aircraft, you have no jettison, so you have to burn it. You fly until you are light enough to land safely. Okay, so
doesn't matter how long that will take. Yeah, so sometimes you can.
Yeah,
but 2 hours.
You extend the landing gear, full flaps.
Yeah.
Everything that's creating a lot of drag, so you use a lot of fuel.
Okay.
It can happen.
Okay.
Voila. So I have also to set the cruising altitude. Here it's 5,000 feet, let's say 8,000. We climb a little bit to see the volcano. Transition altitude. It's a bit long to explain today. You know what is maybe the transition altitude, no? Do you know that altitude is calculated with pressure? Okay. So at the moment we have 1,016 hectopascal here in Tenerife. But the altitude of an aircraft is the pressure. In fact, that's what you
can measure. What you can measure, and
yes, it's easy to measure. So you know, if you know the pressure of the ground, you will know the altitude of the aircraft. But it's not the same everywhere in the world. So after a few minutes or hours of flight, the pressure on the ground is not the same at all. What do? We don't want to climb or descend all the time. So at a certain altitude that we call the transition altitude, we will set the pressure on standard, which means 1030
okay.
and all the aircraft do the same, so we are sure that we see the same altitude as others.
Okay,
but it's not correct because, for example, here I'm 80 feet lower than the reality. But it doesn't matter when you are in the air.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's some...
Okay, and that's a security measure. And so at 8,000 feet here in Tenerife, you have to switch the barrel on standard. That's normally what we do. Voilà. And one limit, we come back to the engines. What do we want to use for safe but not too powerful takeoff? Because we have to manage the engines. We don't want too much power, okay? If the runway is long enough, if we have good conditions, we just calculate the minimum. So we have two things that we can set. First, we can full temperature.
Save the fuel as well, yeah?
Yes, also. The outside air temperature is actually 24 degrees in Tenerife, but we can fool the system and setting, for example, 44 degrees, and so we can read here that the power calculated by the system is only 91% of N1. If I keep it to 24 degrees, it's giving 95. That's the, let's say, the normal power. You can say it like this: 99.4. That's full power takeoff. But that's too much. So I have tables to calculate this. Not just in my head, but I know that 44 will work to make a little bit less power. And also we can manage the power that we have. Normally these engines are 26 kilo, and we can lower this to 24 or 22 for the takeoff. So this is D-rate takeoff. Normal takeoff, D-rate takeoff 1, D-rate takeoff 2. And as you can read, 26 kilo, 24 or 22. And the same for the climb, because after the takeoff, you switch to climb power. The climb power can be reduced also, so you don't make too much noise. That's also another part. Yeah.
That's what we like to have, especially if you are close to the houses and the ground. Yeah.
But you have special procedures for the ground, noise abatement.
So if you will set settings like that, you will not go over that level, yeah?
You will not, you mean?
You will not go over if you will set.
Normally, but because when we take off, we use the automated system to manage the throttles, so they will set exactly the power that we calculate. Because manually it's too complicated to set. But you can still, if you need more power, manually you can.
Case of.
Yeah, of course. It's just calculated for automatic system as a reference for you. And then you can get the takeoff speeds, V1, VR, V2, which is V1 is 136 knots. It means, you know what is V1? It's the point of no return, if you want. At V1, when you reach this speed, you cannot stop any longer.
Okay, I know what is the point no return, but I didn't recognize as the V1 or
That's
V2.
V1. VR is the rotation speed. At 137 knots, we can pull on the stick and lift the aircraft.
Okay.
Problème encore?
C'est encore caché. J'essaie de là le rallumer moi-même, mais je crois que...
Oh, really? No? APU.
Yeah, it's APU.
And you can...
You have a bottle for the APU.
Okay, so you
That's
have...
for engine 1, engine 2, and APU.
Okay.
Which one is it?
Extinguisher for engine, APU and engine.
Voilà. Exactly. And normally it's locked. You have a small button here. But as you can read, I discharge the bottle.
Okay.
Voilà.
In case of fire, you can do something.
It will illuminate immediately to tell you you have an engine fire, for example. We can do a small try to show it if you want that. So for the takeoff, so we can continue to show things. We'll release the brakes.
Take off.
And then you advance the throttles to 40% of N1. So now you can check that both engines give the same power, same parameters. So you know that we have two
already
yes,
moving.
Voilà. Then we activated the auto throttle system, and when we press toggle here, now it will give us the calculated power, which is direct takeoff 1, 44 degrees. You can read it in green. So now we have to control the effect of the feet. No, yo. Just the feet. Right foot.
where we have a speed.
On the left tip, you see.
Okay, that's the speed.
120. We reach E1 now, E1. Rotate. Now you pull on the stick normally. You leave the nose to 15 degrees. Not too much, voila. Less, voila. And the wheels up. Okay. We are not in the correct position with the seats. You have a handle on the left side.
Left side.
Air control, so you can check it. Then you move the seat to the right.
Under left side, wait a minute.
Then you have a lever to unlock. Just unlock. Now come on the right with the seat. Do it to the right. You see? Seat, yeah.
O.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
N-
Okay. And so now we are climbing, and now we are in climb 1. Okay, so the mode automatically changed, and so if we want to use, or we are nothing in the system, but we can activate the flight director system, having cell level change. And now, can you see the pink cross showing there? If you put the nose of the aircraft in the pink cross, just like that, you know that you are flying the correct attitude with the aircraft to make what is set on the system. So for example, if we want to turn left to the north, I say here, direction.
Okay, now we're going to
you see the pink
yeah,
cross,
yeah.
you go left. Yes. Control, you have to be in the middle of the cross. Okay?
Like that.
And so the system is calculating the best attitude of the aircraft to do what is needed. You are not in the cross, so it's not good. Okay. And we continue to turn because we will immediately. You see the pink cross because you are not in the middle of the cross.
Yeah, but I can't.
No, the right side, right side.
Pull up already.
Pull up.
Yes, because we are
Pull up.
mountains.
3 ahead. Pull up. 3 ahead. Pull up.
So now we descend to 3,000 feet, push forward. This, push. Direction, well, that's too much, now pull. And turn right. Right.
Right, right.
Right. Not so easy.
Can you see the runway there, just over there on the left?
Yeah.
Ah. This one, example. So, for example, oh,
What happened? Fire.
engine fire.
Okay, what can I do now?
We have to pull it up and down to discharge one bottle. We have 30 seconds to wait. I stop the alarm.
Yeah.
And we started the timer because we have 30 seconds to check if the bottle is enough to stop the fire.
Okay.
If not, we have, okay, it's extinguished. So no fire any longer.
Okay.
But we lost engine number 1.
So we have
now
only one engine.
Only
now.
one engine for the landing. So voilà, that's what you will do now. It's landing. You are too steep. Pull, then pull on the right. So let me show you something. Okay?
Yeah.
So first we will go back to the pink cross. But now that the power is coming only on the right side,
Okay, so we
the
need to
aircraft
be...
is a bit like that.
Yeah, all the time.
So normally we have to push on the right pedal a little bit, and so we can put the aircraft in the axis of the path. Otherwise,
We are drifting a little bit, yeah?
Yeah.
Voilà. And so we keep the right foot, and we have a trim here. If we don't want to keep the foot of the pedal all the time. We can set it here. So it's compensating the asymmetrical light. Okay, we descend to 2000 feet. When we have only one engine, we cannot land with more than 15 degrees of flaps. Otherwise, we can lose the control of the aircraft. So we have to calculate the speed for landing with 15 degrees, which is 155 knots. And I take the controls now manually. Normally, the procedure is something we have to do together. It was, we lost engine number 1. Do you confirm engine number 1? If you confirm, I close. And I ask you again, do you confirm fuel number 1? Okay. Can cut off. So you confirm, I do it. We have to agree that we cut off completely one engine. I cannot do it on my side, chuk, because it can lead to a crash. Pull. Sync ring. Sending it to sync. So we have to agree the correct engine to be disconnected. So now we use only one throttle. Okay, one, then we will make an approach. Don't turn left, we make a U-turn to intercept the final approach.
We are not
We make, no, you have to go left. We make a U-turn by the left. And we have to descend to 2000 feet. That's fine.
So there's a lot of jobs to do.
Yeah.
That's
Push. I set the auto brake on the max, arming the speed brakes. The spoilers are ready to deploy automatically when we touch the ground. Try to be exactly in the middle of this cross. Small corrections, you have to put smoothly. And now what we want is to intercept the final approach system, which is the ILS system, you know?
I know ILS.
The ILS is what, level the wings now? Stop the turn. Stop. Otherwise we will not intercept the final approach. We turn right a bit. Because this big map, now you can follow it, you turn left, it's showing the axis of the runway, so you have to line up. Turn left. As you can see, the big cross is showing you the way to intercept this line, and so if you follow it, you will be perfectly aligned in front of the runway. Flaps 15. So now we are set for the final approach. Push. Do never go higher than 10 degrees with the pitch. Push a bit more. Right side. Descending, you cannot descend. Pull. No, pull. Yeah. Now push a little bit, anticipate the fact that we will. To stabilize the cross, we have to make small adjustments and anticipate what we will get. So now we are nearly correct. Yes, and this is the same, showing the glide path that we will have to follow. Can you see the runway?
Yeah.
Start the descent in a few seconds to give you some power, but it's making the aircraft going to the left, so you have to compensate at the same time.
We have all the time one engine, yeah?
Yeah. Landing on one engine. First, to the right. You should keep the nose of the aircraft in the middle of the cross. Not just straight power for you, but if you climb, you lose the benefit of the power. And ready with the feet.
Fine?
That's okay. A bit high, but continue.
400. Approaching minimums. 300. Light slow.
Just a little bit.
Minimums. 200. Light slow.
Like the right. Now visual.
Too low. Flaps. Light
No,
slow.
don't pull, don't pull, don't pull, don't pull. Don't
Too
pull.
low. Flaps.
Let it go smoothly.
50.
Pull a
Too
little
low.
bit.
Flaps. 30. 20. 10.
Speed breaker. Reverse. Take care because we only have the right reverse, so now it's the opposite. The aircraft is turning right. Stow the reverse.
Mamma mia. That's not so easy. But finally we are moving up. Yeah, but I think with that kind of knowledge we can survive.
But we took a long time to explain systems and so on, so you had to explain a lot of things about flying the aircraft. And you had to land with one engine, so you can see what's happening, but it's more difficult.
That was really difficult.
But we survived.
We survived, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
in real life, we are still alive. So, and you save maybe 180.
Let's do it in the Polish way.
So we survived, okay.
So, voilà.
That was really fun.
So,